Hello, and welcome to Bouldering. I'm Jake Love with BadwaterProductions.com, doing my best Tim Rogers impression, here to discuss at you 10 reasons why Bishop, California might not be the best place to boulder. I say might not because, well, it just might. But as they say, nobody's perfect. Don't misunderstand me, I love Bishop, California. It's probably my favorite place in the world. In 2015, I visited Bishop, California for the first time on spring break, along with some friends from college. I had recently dove deep, head first, into the world of outdoor bouldering. And this was my introduction to extended, full-on outdoor climbing trips. We spent 16 hours driving sleepless through the night down high desert highways until we found ourselves at the Pleasant Valley campground. We set up our tents, drove to the Buttermilks, bouldered, then drove back to the pit and hastily disassembled camp and relocated to the Buttermilk country. We spent the next 6 days climbing and camping and drinking and taking the occasional hobo shower in the bathroom sink at Vaughn's. Thanks, Vaughn's. We had the time of our lives, focused on nothing but friendship and rock. Absolutely free from the shackles of responsibility, flanked on all sides by the most beautiful natural features any of your favorite omnipotent gods could forge. We fell in love. For the next 10 years, I made my annual pilgrimage to Bishop. I set Buttermilk-specific goals, short-term and long. I trained year-round, every pull-up accompanied by the clear visualization of topping Atari, or Saigon, or Xavier's Roof, or Evolution Direct. This will be the first year I miss a Bishop trip in 11 years. On June 13th, 2024, sprinting and sweating beneath the heat of the sweltering summer sun, my obsession with passing a rubber ball through a metal hoop caused me to ignore my body's warnings to warm up and slow down in a loud moment of torsion that would create a ripple in my life so unpredictably burgeoning that it would turn into a tsunami of life-altering decisions. I tore my anterior cruciate ligament. The ACL runs diagonally in the middle of the knee and prevents the tibia from sliding out in front of the femur. It also provides rotational stability to the knee. An ACL tear is one of the most commonly shared nightmares of professional athletes around the world. The projected recovery time for an ACL tear is 1 year. So instead of driving to Bishop in a car down the highway, I will float in my memories down this stream of consciousness. And though these memories are, without a doubt, the best of my life, and Bishop is, without a doubt, my favorite place to boulder, I would like to attempt to add some perspective by going through some reasons why Bishop might not be the best place to boulder. Number 1, the pit. The Pleasant Valley Campground, colloquially elucidated as the Pit, sits along Pleasant Valley Dam Road, adjacent Bishop's Tablelands bouldering areas, and is the popular campground for Bishop visiting climbers spending their skin at the Happy Boulders. The Pit is awful. It must be one of the worst campgrounds I've ever stayed in, and I've stayed in more than a few. In 2019, on the way back from bouldering in Joshua Tree National Park, my brother, my girlfriend, and I were looking for a campsite near Sacramento before heading into Yosemite the next day. As the sun set, we pulled into a mysterious road Google Maps had liberally labeled as campsite. We rolled through an arch adorned with the skulls of assorted animals, past a shack whose front door was lying literally unhinged on the floor, illuminated by the pulsing gray glow of television static from a CRT TV leaning sideways on the adjacent ground. This was a bad sign. We braved forward. Every campsite was overgrown. The few picnic tables we saw were busted and burn-scarred. There was half an outhouse, and the lone tattooed fisherman chanted at us, "Go home," with his eyes. We sped out of that nightmare as the final rays of protection set behind the western hill. I would still rather camp there than at the pit. As an aside, we continued looking for a campground, and we found, Meadow Campground at Millerton, and it was the most beautiful campground I've ever been in. It was so fun to go to a campground during the night and then wake up and you're surrounded by boulders and there's a lake, and the wonderfully thoughtful camp hosts reminded me of my grandparents when we used to go camping, and the boulders had names and grades and traces of chalk, and we were like, oh, we got a boulder here. As an aside to my aside, I left my chalk bucket, which actually I purchased in Bishop, that said Bishop, California on it. It was very cool. It was like my first chalk bucket. I left it at one of those boulders and only realized when we got to Yosemite, and I posted on Mountain Project, and somebody actually said they found it and they sent it to me free of charge. And I'm still grateful to this day. So thank you, friend, for sending me my much beloved chalk bag bucket. Where was I? The pit is a dust bowl. The 30-mile-per-hour wind lifts the desert to meet your face with the unwelcome kiss of 100 grit sandpaper. My face is not a DIY project. I like all my pores just how they are, imperfections and all. I've only spent one night in this campground, and that was one night too many. The nighttime harmonies of piercing wind and drunken howlings create such dissonance that even the hope of sleep escaped my imagination. And can you believe it? This experience costs money. Once, I had to pay $120 to camp. That's as much as a hotel room. If you add the cost of firewood, that's more than a hotel room. But that was not in Bishop, California. That was in Leavenworth, Washington, which also might not be the best place to boulder. Number 2, 5G. Possibly the highest contributing factor that made that first Bishop trip with my college buds back in 2015 feel so liberating was the lack of cellular service. No service meant no emails, no homework, no contact with family or friends who weren't within earshot of a decent shout. No charging outlets either, and the freezing weather killed our phones dead by the second day. Astute viewers might recognize this meant no photos or videos either. This was 3 years before Kyle and I decided our YouTube channel should be dedicated to outdoor bouldering, so we were without a camera. The only proof I have of this trip is a set of ill-composed Facebook photos and the corroboration of my detailed memories. Now, 10 years later, my phone finds no refuge from the bombardment of invisible radio waves permeating every 12 centimeters of open air. I get push notifications, text message alerts, phone calls, updates, ads, and even spectral vibrations. Why would my brain trick itself into thinking someone is texting me? I don't want anyone texting me. There's a chance they might want something. I want to be besieged by boulders so that climbing captures my unbroken attention. I want no distractions. Over the years, the boulders have had to learn to share that attention with the camera and tripod to which I must attend for the making of videos for the Badwater Bouldering YouTube channel. However, this necessary task of filmmaking almost always takes a back seat to the mission of movement over stone. This preference to climbing over filming can cause problems when my brother Kyle and I would rather climb than film, which can leave us with little to no usable footage for a video with any semblance of quality. Oh well, sometimes this requires us to reshoot sequences or reclimb boulders. This repetition of movement tends to result in us becoming better climbers. For all you boulderers out there interested in improving your craft, I highly recommend resending projects or even simply repeating difficult movements. You'll thank me later. On occasion, when the camera does hold my attention tight, I still like to consider myself living in the moment, while I simultaneously capture that moment for posterity. I love filmmaking, I love bouldering. That's why I'm here. But the filmmaking I enjoy requires much more than an iPhone and a tripod, and it does not require cellular service. Can I just say, the popularity of the online guidebook, such as Kaya, that I see held in the proliferating hands of new to outdoors boulderers disgusts me. I get it. It's convenient for the user as they already have a phone, and it's lucrative to the company as the quantity of sheets of paper they are required to print to stock their book in every bouldering gym in the world constitutes a single flyer that says download. Well, you might enjoy staring at your phone between climbs, but that ain't me, buddy. I'm a guidebook guy through and through. I want my information coming from the passionate climbers that had their dirty, skinless fingertips all over the development process of the bouldering area I intend to explore. I do not want to pay money so that I can stare at a screen and be blasted by the blue light of my phone while I could be turning the pages of a real physical thing that I own. My copy of Mick Ryan and Wills Young's 2010 second edition of the Bishop Bouldering Guidebook is a decade old now, and it is well loved. Take a look at it. It's messed up. On the cover flap 10 years ago, we began taking notes on every area we visited, on each day, on every trip we took every single year. We took the boxes and recorded first ascents, and we wrote little notes on what was worth remembering. When I write notes about climbs in online forums such as sendage.com or mountainproject.com, the feeling of these notes, the character, the memory is lost in an endless void of Times New Roman, obscured by its incalculable and identical neighboring comments. The notes in my book are mine and my friends alone. They are memories. In the past, this book was all we had. We revered this book. We exalted the first ascensionists listed beneath our favorite climbs to a status of godhood, and we dreamed that one day we might have our own names written in the holy ink of these sacred pages. I'd like to shout out myself for realizing this dream. In James Lucas's 2024 first edition of Bishop Bouldering, my name is listed beneath more than one tick list's worth of all-time classic climbs that I did, in fact, firstly ascend. Congratulations to me. Go buy this guidebook. It's cool. I don't get any money if you buy it at all, but my name's in it, and that's cool. Plus, you can walk around the boulders without staring at a screen, which is indisputably a better experience. Yes, there is service at the Buttermilks. No, you do not need it. What a guidebook does not permit, and what I, and I'm sure many of you, struggle to avoid when confronted with the ability to stream videos in 29.97 beautiful frames per second in high definition 1080p, is the drug addict temptation to look up beta videos when stuck on a move. Number 3, too many beta videos. Before you begin typing a comment about the fact that I myself am guilty of perpetrating this crime of oversaturation by creating the very content I wish to avoid, let me explain. On August 6th, 1999, writer-director M. Night Shyamalan released a film starring Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment called The Sixth Sense. The film follows child psychologist Malcolm Crowe, played by Willis, as he attempts to help a young boy named Cole, played by Osment, who is suffering from apparent schizophrenia. The Sixth Sense made $672 million and was nominated for 6 Oscars at the 72nd Annual Academy Awards. Suffice to say, it killed. For those of you that have seen The Sixth Sense, you may have guessed where I'm going with this. For those of you who haven't seen The Sixth Sense, well, even you may have guessed where I'm going with this. I don't wish to spoil this movie. It's a great movie. In fact, if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense and you haven't guessed where I'm going with this, then you should pause this video right now and go watch it. You'll like it. Or you won't, I don't know. For the rest of you, I recall The Sixth Sense as an example of the most notoriously spoiled twist ending that I can think of.
When people try to get the ending out of you, because obviously we don't want to.
Oh yeah.
What do you say?
Well, it's you does have a. You guys have all seen the movie, right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I see a lot of you typing comments right now about how The Usual Suspects or Fight Club or Shutter Island have bigger twists. Keep your comments to yourself. Knowing a movie has a twist ending is a spoiler, and I don't want to turn this video's comment section into the Fast and Furious franchise. If you've never seen The Sixth Sense, but existing in 2025, surrounded by unescapable media a full quarter century after the film was released, you are aware of the twist ending, and you sit down and watch it for the first time, sure, afterwards you could say you've seen The Sixth Sense. But did you really experience the sixth sense? Can someone experience a movie they've had spoiled to them? Or a television show? Or a book? Or a boulder? If you go back and watch The Sixth Sense a second time, you already know the ending, and the experience will be almost an entirely new one. But that experience should supplement your original viewing of The Sixth Sense, having not known the ending. A second, third, or even 10th viewing is a perfectly viable way to experience any film. You'll likely get something new out of each subsequent viewing. But watching a film for the first time when you already know the ending, or the twist, or the climax, removes your engagement with the element of surprise. It removes your ability to think critically about what might happen. It removes your ability to empathize with characters in specific moments, knowing with undeniable certainty where they will end up. Now, I'd like to add that there's nothing wrong with watching a movie you haven't seen if you know the ending or something about it. All I'm trying to say is you're missing out on that first blind viewing and all of the emotional challenges that come with it. If you think the parallels I'm attempting to make are tenuous, you're paying attention.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was over here goofing around. Oh, sorry.
Boulders are called problems for a reason. Not unlike a math problem, boulders have a set of variables and a desired outcome that can be reached through carefully sequenced actions using substantiated methods. Boulder problems have solutions. There may be more than one solution, depending on the method you use, but the desired outcome will always be the same. If I look up a beta video on YouTube and copy Andy Liu's sequence move for move, can I really say that I solved the boulder problem? I don't know about you, but no math teacher who ever taught me would say that I completed my math homework if I went and copied the proof off of my classmate's paper. Sure, if you look at my notebook, it's all there. The problem, the solution, and the outcome. But let's call a spade a spade. I cheated. Number 4, the people. Geographically flanked by the winterly snow-capped White Mountains to the east and the California-based brewing company's eponymous Sierra Nevada Mountains to the west, Bishop sits peacefully in the northern end of the Owens Valley at 4,150 feet above sea level and 340 miles inland from the Pacific Ocean. For 11,000 years, the northern Paiute people called this valley their home. That is, until the white man came and killed them all with smallpox and guns. The Paiute still live in this high desert valley, and in 2025, their ancient autobiographies can still be admired, carved for posterity into the prehistoric stone we boulderers so zealously worship. Beginning at the southern Canadian border and terminating 1,300 miles south in the Mojave Desert, the arterial highway 395 cuts right through the Owens Valley and right through downtown Bishop, making Bishop the keystone of travel in the desert west. According to the 2023 census, the metropolitan area of Bishop, California is home to 14,500 residents. According to the city of Bishop, California, more than 1 million cars travel through Bishop each year. That's a lot! If I really rack my brain, I can count on no hands how many negative experiences I've had with Bishop locals. I mean, I'm sure there are some jerks in that town. There are jerks everywhere. But I've spent about a year of my life in Bishop, and I've had only positive experiences. The people problem consists entirely of tourists. And yes, I'm one of them. Since its inception as a sport in France in the late 19th century, outdoor bouldering has seen a very gradual, if visible at all, incline in popularity over the last dozen decades. In the later half of the 20th century, stone masters like John Backer, John Sherman, and Dale Bard, to name a few, expanded the sport of outdoor bouldering around the west coast of America and beyond. The sport saw an explosion of popularity thanks to Chris Sharma and the Lowell brothers' Rampage videos in the earliest part of the 21st century.
He's climbing real strong. He's been climbing strong. He is strong, but he hasn't been climbing, you know what I'm saying? He's strong. And what he has been climbing is ridiculous, but he has, you know what I mean? It's like here and there, a few raj-ish here, a few raj-ish there.
Combined with the proliferation of rock climbing gyms popping up around the United States of America, This aforementioned explosion would be a tree root on the trail of the mountainous peak of popularity that the sport of bouldering has been trialed to endure over the past decade. What was once considered venturing dangerously into the wilderness to test one's grit on the silent stone can now be more accurately described as taking a vacation to Mother Nature's theme park, where the theme is climbing and the tickets are free. For now. There are children running around and laughing. There is trash littering the ground. There is not enough parking. There are lines to climb the boulders. I'm surprised there aren't grandma and grandpa themed big-headed mascots dancing around the Buttermilks and taking pictures with children. Once, in 2020, when the world was shut down due to the coronavirus, my brother Kyle and I found ourselves, for the first and last time in our lives, alone in the Buttermilks for weeks. We had arrived in the Buttermilks a few days before the world shut down, and so we stayed, following directions to avoid travel, and we had the best time of our lives, alone in Buttermilk country. I will cherish those memories of solitude forever. But now, each year we return, I am continuously baffled by the never-ending slew of climbers that come to enjoy and abuse Bishop's climbing areas. There are just too many people. Heck, it's difficult to avoid seeing gigantic tour buses loaded with travelers wandering assembly line-like into and out of Schatz's bakery. By the way, I think Schatz's is delicious. Their sandwiches are amazing, and they all come with a pickle. I love pickles. But one time I ordered a sandwich, and by the time I got to the boulders, I realized they had forgotten to include a pickle. You owe me a pickle, Eric. We'll talk about local businesses in a later part of this video, and we'll talk about it a lot. Trust me. For now, I present you 2 relevant business-related figures. There are 110 businesses in Bishop, California, and 20 of them are hotels. That's 18.18% hotels. For reference, the United States has a hotel rate of 0.003%. What I'm attempting to illustrate here with these dubiously cherry-picked statistics is that Bishop anticipates a lot of people a lot of the time. This incessant ebb and flow of population is hardly an issue in downtown's wide triple-lane roads and copious parking. The problem manifests itself in the climbing areas. I've quoted many times the maxim that Bishop is the mecca of highball bouldering in the world. I propose to elaborate on that sentiment. Bishop is the mecca of all bouldering in America. If you live east of the Atlantic Ocean and you have ever purchased an outdoor bouldering guidebook, you will at one time in your life find yourself dreaming of taking the pilgrimage to the gods erected monuments to movement over stone that are the Buttermilks. MountainProject.com lists Bishop, California as having 2,599 established boulder problems. That is more than any other bouldering area in the entire world, according to MountainProject.com. It's important to note that the results on MountainProject.com are a product of community input and collaboration, and are most certainly biased due to a number of cultural, historical, and technological factors. There are bigger bouldering areas with more boulders, but I'm trying to make a point here, okay? A lot of climbers from all over the world visit Bishop to boulder. It is not uncommon to hear a high school's curriculum worth of different languages during a walk across the Buttermilk's main. As I said, the roads downtown are wide. Heck, even the dirt roads to the crag are wide. A proper parking spot, however, can be difficult, if not impossible, to find, which inadvertently encourages people to roll their heavy wheels up off the established roads and step all over the pristine biocrust. These small and complex ecosystems cannot sustain the grotesque excess of Sportiva approach shoes trampling its delicate sands. Raise your hand if you've ever been told, when venturing into any forest, desert, or otherwise undeveloped natural habitat, to leave no trace by some righteous or possibly indignant outdoor enthusiast. I cannot see you through this digital space-time portal, but I'd be astonished if any less than all of you who've made it this far in this video are not reaching for the sky. LNT.org lists the following 7 tenets of the Leave No Trace stewardship philosophy on their website. In the interest of not making this video 18 hours in length, I will be providing one single example of each tenet I've either witnessed being broken or perpetrated the breaking myself. Plan ahead and prepare. A mechanic on a creeper's worth of clearance is required to hurdle the road's rocks and ruts to some of the outlying Buttermilk areas. This does not give you permission to avoid these obstacles by driving up and onto the desert sage. Bring a bigger car, buddy, or walk. Travel and camp on durable surfaces. Boulderers are constantly wandering off trail in search of their next big proj. There are so many trails, it can be difficult to identify the official trail from a desire path. And as much as I attempt to keep my feet on the stone, I sure am guilty of penetrating 1, 2, or 3 tripod legs into the delicate crust. Dispose of waste properly. Adjacent to the happy boulder known as the Gleaner, sitting miasmic upon a chunk of volcanic tuff, was a literal human feces-filled diaper. Continuing on. I have to provide 2 examples for this tenet, though both examples are excrement related. If your dog is off leash, your dog is doing its business in the middle of the path. If, in the unlikely scenario, you bring your dog to the crag and you decide to use a plastic bag to contain your dog's brown business, do not leave that plastic-wrapped poo on the ground in the middle of the trail. You're taking something biodegradable and wrapping it in a decompose, that's good. You're taking something biodegradable and wrapping it in a decompose-proof shield. If you expect me to haul out your dog's droppings for you, think again, buddy. Minimize campfire impacts. At 2:15 p.m. on February 18, 2018, a wildfire began near the Pit campground, consuming 2,070 acres of brush and bush on the doorstep of the volcanic tablelands bouldering areas. Whom is responsible for starting this fire is heretofore undetermined by official parties, but for the sake of this video, it was probably the accident of a negligent climber. Respect wildlife. Prime-time buttermilk climbing weather tends to fall in the 6th months between September and April on the Gregorian calendar. The other half of the year, it's just too hot. In addition to the hard bouldering restrictive heat beaming down from our local white dwarf, when May comes around, the birds and the bees come out to play. And the snakes. Once, during a late spring bouldering season, we watched and tracked the local rattlesnake population as each day they slithered further down from their nightmarish snake hole of hibernation near the top dome of the Buttermilk's mane, deeper and deeper to inhabit the base of many different popular boulders. Rattlesnakes are polite. They generally let you know when you're in their personal space. This time of year, every year, the boulders we cling to so reverently become their personal space, and we have no choice but to share. We had warned about a dozen climbers and tourists of the scaled hazards that lingered, camouflaged beneath brush and boulder. We knew where they were, we pointed them out, and helped guide people to paths less snaked. One couple of tourists, clearly not climbers, as was evidenced by their tight jeans and clean fingernails, had brought their little dog along to enjoy the sunshine and beautiful natural features. "Be careful, there's a rattlesnake under that there rock," we warned. "Perfect," they replied. "Our dog just finished snake school. Let's see if he learned anything." These tourists proceeded to walk their leashed dog back and forth, not 1 foot from the poison-fanged diamondback, simply minding its own business. What compelled them to put their little dog in mortal danger is beyond my empathetic comprehension. We watched in agonizing, holding our breaths attention. The seconds seemed to pass like hours as this cute canine was walked closer and closer to certain death. But nothing happened. Neither the dog nor the snake seemed to take notice of one another. That snake class sure was a bad use of money. Admittedly, the wildlife in this example was not exactly disrespected, but there sure was a real and imminent threat of danger perpetrated to animals by humans. Respect your dog, buddy. Be considerate of other visitors. My brother and I film ourselves climbing, and by proxy other people, constantly. Do we ask permission? Sometimes. But it's a public space, and that means you have no expectation of privacy. Rules are rules. Leave what you find. What if I find somebody else's plastic bag full of their dog's poo? But in all seriousness, I've taken more than one pretty piece of stone off the ground from the outlying Buttermilk's areas, and I'll do it again. Once, during a late-night stroll beneath the star-streaked sky of Dale's camp, we ran into two prospectors digging for gold in a washed-out rut cutting through a small dirt road. When I say two prospectors, I really mean two nerds. And when I say gold, I mean quartz. They were using their flashlights to locate the shiny, ubiquitous mineral via reflection. In case you aren't a geologist, the Buttermilk boulders are constructed of an igneous rock known as quartz monzonite. This means the Buttermilk stone is made of between 5% and 20% quartz. These guys were in the right place. We chatted, and having learned they were looking for quartz and considering them fellow stone enthusiasts, we pointed them towards a beautiful square-cut block known to us boulderers as the Glass House, not far out that-a-way. Our intent was to share the beauty of nature with these gentlemen, but would you believe it? They said they'd go rob that block of its quartz with a chisel. Needless to say, we became the righteous, indignant enthusiasts. Raise your fists if you've ever talked to someone who dare chip a boulder. To go bouldering is to leave a trace. Boulderers require parking lots, toilets, and trails. Boulderers leave their portraits painted upon the rock in the form of chalk on holds for all to behold. This calcium carbonate residue, provided enough time and rain, will likely wash away and exist then not upon the holds but within the soil. That is, if the chalk washes away at all. Many chalked holds are beneath an overhang, effectively stained forever. Boulderers leave the black blemishes of their Vibram rubber-soled rock shoes all over the stone. Boulderers drop pieces of climbing tape. Boulderers drop crumbs of food, corrupting the local wildlife population. Boulderers intentionally break loose rock to make a chunk of stone more stable. That rock you broke took millions of years to form. You just snapped it off in less than a second. Do you feel powerful? Boulderers flatten landings, sometimes going as far as to move a hazardous or inconvenient natural feature that threatens the safety or aesthetics of a boulder. I would never cut down a whole tree to make a boulder climbable. I would never hesitate to extinguish the life from 1,000 blades of grass with my bouldering crash pad to make a boulder climbable. I have scrubbed moss where there might be a hold. I have scrubbed moss where there certainly was not a hold. I have also left beautiful neon green lichen perfectly intact where an amazing hold actually was, because I deemed it aesthetically valuable. Now that I think about it, I was gonna scrub that lichen, that neon green lichen, where that perfect hold was in Bishop. That was in Bishop on a route called Bad Vertigo. But Kyle stopped me. I was bloodthirsty. I was scrubbing everything. Scrubbing maniac. Kyle said, stop, it's pretty. Don't. I said, but it's a jug. He said, it's pretty. Take a step back, bro. Take a breath. I'm like, oh, okay. I rappelled down and I was looking at it. Oh, that is pretty. Leave it there. I wonder if it's still there. Probably.
You're not going to use that hole, bro? Don't.
For a different route.
What?
Go straight up.
It's beautiful lichen, bro. Don't remove it. Don't remove it. That's absolutely gorgeous.
I don't have to remove all of it, just this part here.
You're not going to use it. For what purpose?
Okay. voice of reason.
Yeah, don't remove the beautiful lichens.
I pose the question to you, viewer. How much death are you willing to deal in order to climb a small rock? Number 5. The boulders are too sharp. The distinct synergy of pain and pleasure that pours hot from a Vaughn's faucet onto the chalk-dirty, blister-pocked hands of a boulderer preparing to roam the all-American aisles of near-infinite food looking for the cheapest option that comes in a can is one of relishing. The boulderer relishes this hot success as it washes away his or her afternoon of fighting literal rocks. The boulderer had a cold, hard day. The boulderer earned this. Perhaps the sink runs red with the blood of quartz monzonite-inflicted hand wounds. Perhaps even the boulderer takes this opportunity to splash their face, then look up and gaze back into the eyes of their own satisfaction of a day well spent. Rock climbing is pain. You might even dare to say that rock climbing is masochistic. If you don't enjoy the pain at least a little bit, can you really consider yourself a climber? I don't mean to gatekeep. Or do I? Gatekeeping is as part and parcel to rock climbing as parts are to an ensemble high school theater production, or parcels are to a post office. As early as the 1950s, arguments evolving to physical altercations would break out between Yosemite granite addicts about climbing etiquette. California's Yosemite National Parks' El Capitan's The Nose's first ascensionist, Warren Harding, and rock climbing revolutionary Royal Robbins famously fought over what they each considered true climbing. This abrasive sense of righteousness has flourished in the rock climbing community for near on a century, and I am proud to fireman carry this tradition far and long. Surrounded by a pervasive 21st century culture of acceptance and inclusion, I stand before the gates, arms crossed, judging. Are you ready to be upset? Too bad. Indoor climbing is not rock climbing. Any gym that professes itself to be indoor rock climbing, unless within their walls they maintain millions of years old igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary geologic formations, is lying. Speed climbing is the only competitively viable form of climbing. All other competitive climbing is far too nuanced, unpredictable, variable, and poorly scored. Time is objective. Well, time is relative, you know what I mean. Speed climbing should not be called speed climbing. It should be called vertical racing. Any semblance of what the climbing community considers climbing that can be seen in speed climbing is as shallow as the Badwater Basin in August. Intended or forced movement set by route setters is killing the art of climbing. There is no such thing as breaking beta. There is only improving beta. No boulderer can consider themselves a VX climber without having climbed at least 5 of the grade they purport to be able to climb. The more consensus exists on these 5 climbs, the better. Indoor climbing doesn't count. Climbing grades are meaningless. And I climb V11. I encourage you to leave your disgust in the comments. Now, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. If you ask me, part of what makes rock climbing such a satisfying sport is overcoming the pain and failure and danger time after time to prove to yourself and your best buds and possibly swaths of anonymous internet prowlers that you won't let nothing get you down. The pain is both physical and emotional. The pain endures, sometimes permanent. But we sure do keep coming back. And Bishop has some of the most painful rock, I dare say, anywhere. The Buttermilks are sharp. When I introduce this adult playground of egg-shaped big stone to a newly visiting climber, they will doubtless comment upon the razor's edge-like serration of the holds they're meant to grab. Buddy, you're not inside anymore. Nobody designed these holds for your delicate hands to gently caress. They aren't made of plastic. They're made of pain grain. Who said climbing was comfortable? I don't remember reading that in the manual. I have stained the buttermilk boulders with what a hematologist would consider an alarming amount of blood. I have shed enough skin on the milks to make a snake jealous. I have dripped sweat and tears upon so much buttermilk stone that I should probably see a therapist. If you ever feel the compulsion to complain about too much friction grip, maybe go climb somewhere with smoother rock. Number 5, Part 2, the boulders are too smooth. In 1687, Isaac Newton published his crowning achievement, the Principia. In this scientific revolutionary text, Newton proposes 3 laws of motion. These laws lay the foundation of all modern physics, and seeing as boulder problems are, as we discussed earlier, physics equations, we can relate each law of motion directly to climbing theory. Newton's first law states that an object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by an external force. In climbing terms, you need to pull down to go up. Newton's second law states that the acceleration of a body is proportional to the acting force and inversely proportional to its mass. The bigger you are, the harder you must pull to go up. That's why them team kids are so darn good. Never compare yourself to a team kid. Newton's third law states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. For every complaint about the skin-slashing sharpness of the buttermilk stone, there is another climbing gym frequenter who's complaining about the rock being too smooth. The smoothest rock I've ever climbed is in Yosemite National Park in California. It's estimated that Yosemite National Park experiences 4 million visitors each year. The world-famous Midnight Lightning boulder problem has been groped by so many of these visitors since its first ascent by Ron Kauk and John Backer in 1978 that the starting foot and handholds feel like glass.
Look at this. It's glass. It's just like plastic. Like just slick, nothing, no texture. This is gritty and this is just glass. And this foot too, glass.
This phenomenon of finger-begot erosion can be seen on bronze and marble statues around the world. In Springfield, Illinois, superstition says that rubbing one's greasy paws upon the nose of Abraham Lincoln's bust is supposed to provide them with good luck. And in France, at the Père-Lachaise cemetery, women gain the boons of heightened fertility and a blissful sex life if they grope the bronze genitals of the likeness of Napoleon-era French journalist Victor Noir. Perhaps Yosemite tourists believe that by rubbing the start holds of Midnight Lightning, they'll gain John Backer's finger strength or Ron Kauk's luscious locks. Or perhaps, more likely, Yosemite's population of climbing tourists is so vast and so constant that the convenient Camp 4-centered existence of the Midnight Lightning boulder problem creates a challenge too tempting for any rock climber to resist. The average climber that visits the legendary Camp 4, centered beneath Yosemite's awe-inspiring big walls of granite, is beckoned to the immense boulder surrounded by shirtless bros all encouraging each other to take a swing at its famous chalk art decorated lightning bolt problem. The average climber pulls onto the start holds possibly just to see what all the fuss is about, makes 1, or with luck, 2 moves, and falls. This repeating scenario erodes the texture of the early holds on the problem exponentially more than the later ones, as is evidenced by the fact that as one climbs up the Midnight Lightning boulder problem, every hold becomes grippier and more textured than the last, until finally you reach the post-crux mantle sequence, which feels as natural and friction-rich as granite can feel. The second smoothest rock I've ever climbed on is in the forest of Fontainebleau, France. Though perhaps no single boulder is as world-famous as Midnight Lightning, Fontainebleau's boulders have been climbed for at least 100 years more than any boulder in Yosemite. Existence is terminal. Time is the terminator of all things, and when aided by nearly 2 centuries of erosion by dirty shoes and grimy mitts, the inevitable demise of stone can be witnessed by even the short lifespans of a human.
I was touching these. It's just straight glass, right? It's not just chalked up. This is like, it's going to be unclimbable in 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah, I give it 25 years.
It's going to be like, the great grade change. They're just going to have to up everything in font all at once. Just decide that it's been overclimbed. The old grades don't matter anymore. everything's a V1 instead of a 0 now.
Yeah. I love that prophecy.
Overshot.
I overshot it. This reminds me so much of Midnight Lightning. It's so slick. It's insane. Overclimb to hell.
The third smoothest rock I've ever climbed on is in Bishop, California. The difference, however, is that Bishop's slickness is not exclusively due to over-climbing. Sure, much of the volcanic tuff in Bishop's tablelands bouldering zones has been worn to near dual-tex levels of non-friction, and the start holds of the Buttermilk's most famous evolution is on track to meet the same fate as Midnight Lightning's start holds. Much of Bishop's smooth rock is natural. Many of the boulders are shelled by a glassy patina that makes even the most experienced of climbers say, "Whoa."
That's smooth.
The slickness in the Buttermilks most often reveals itself in the form of a foothold. In the Buttermilks, if you can yourself find a millimeter diameter grain of textured rock to stand on, you're doing good. The discrepancy between the average real rock foothold and the average indoor plastic molded foothold is the cause of many gym frequenters cursing of the Buttermilk's smooth stone. You better work on your foot tension, buddy. There's a lot of smooth rock out there. I'm improvising. Number 6, the sand. Outdoor boulderers are incredibly picky when it comes to masses of freestanding stone. Boulderers spend their lives looking for the perfect sized rock with the perfect natural protrusions and indentations so that they may use their feet and fingers to climb said rock. I polled 190 outdoor boulderers across a range of social medias and in-person discussions, and the results are as follows. 73.15% of outdoor boulderers believe that the perfect height of an outdoor boulder is between 10 to 20 feet. About half of these people believe that the perfect boulder is 10 to 15 feet, and the other half believe the ideal height is between 15 and 20. 6 people said they prefer a boulder over 30 feet tall, and a single person voted for a boulder under 5 feet tall. When a freestanding rock is big, its apex reaching 10 to 20 feet, climbers call it a boulder. If a boulder does not reach the mandatory 10-foot height, boulderers may affectionately refer to it as a low ball. If a rock fails to reach even a measly 5 feet in height, it's simply referred to as a rock. When a rock gets small enough, we cease to refer to it individually, and in an act of gross generalization, we call it sand. Sand is not made solely of rock. Countless internet images of sand beneath a microscope reveal sand's true nature to be a collection of minuscule particulates whose origin ranges from organic materials to stone to plastics to glass. In Bishop, California, sand is everywhere. On every approach, beneath every boulder, in your shoes, in your backpack, in your hair, and in your mouth, and even in the air. The sand seems to endlessly proliferate in every crack and crevice of your outfit and body. If you spend enough time in Bishop, you'll even begin to find sand in your dreams. The sand of the Buttermilks is thick-grained in nature and provides a lovely soft landing on even the hardest of falls.
Just get it. Man, that was the closest. I didn't jump right in there.
Yeah, you jumped too far left. As well as a sturdy enough surface to hike through. However, when the wind picks up, this thick-grained sand becomes a volley of natural projectiles you best shield yourself from. If you brave the bumpy journey to the Buttermilks and spend at least one afternoon at least scrambling in this natural playground, I guarantee at least a spoonful of nature's kitty litter will hitch a ride with you back home. I have countless of these hobo grains beneath the pedals of my red 2004 Yukon Denali still, and I haven't been to Bishop in over 400 days. All in all, this Buttermilk sand is rather friendly. The sand of the tablelands is pure discomfort. Though the approach to the Happy Boulders bouldering zone is probably only a few hundred feet of uphill trudge, the loose sand at your feet creates the frustrating sensation of 2 steps forward, one step back. Perhaps the near half my body weight of added load resulting from lugging a Metolius Magnum crash pad and a fancier FT717 fluid head video tripod, a Canon brand camera bag carrying a Canon 80D DSLR camera with an abundance of extra batteries, an 18 to 200mm f3.5 lens, a 10 to 18mm f4.5 lens, and a 75 to 300mm f4 lens. An additional bag of 3 Viltrox VL162T LED variable brightness and color temperature film lights, a pair of 37.5 sized La Sportiva competition climbing shoes, a Black Diamond brand Mondo chalk bucket with the Black Diamond white gold climbing chalk, an assortment of whatever protein bars I could find hiding beneath my car seats, a 32-ounce sticker plastered Nalgene water bottle filled to the brim with water, an old out-of-production Black Diamond headlamp, car keys, and Mick Ryan and Wills Young's 2010 second edition of the Bishop Bouldering Guidebook, not to mention the clothes on my back, obliges my every step sink deep into the uncaring sand. I noticed as I read that last part that I have a lot of Black Diamond products. I have no loyalty to Black Diamond as a brand at all, or as a customer. I mean, their products are at every outdoor sporting goods store, so I feel like I just have a lot of their stuff, but I'm not sponsored by Black Diamond. It's just what I've got. Okay, I go to a store, they've got Black Diamond, I buy the Black Diamond. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like the Buttermilks. The Buttermilks are everything sharp and smooth. Number 7, the boulders are too tall. If we analyze the data from the previous segment, it's clear that the subsect of internet users that subscribe to the Badwater Bouldering YouTube channel and enjoy taking internet polls prefer that outdoor boulders reach a height of between 10 to 20 feet tall. In Bishop, there are a lot of boulders above 20 feet tall. The Buttermilk's bouldering zone is the New York City of American bouldering destinations, home to dozens of skyscraping boulders that themselves host dozens of prime-time climbs. The lips of these igneous mega skyscrapers loom vertigo-inducingly over 35 feet above the padded plots of sand that even the boldest of boulderers would fear to fall upon. Every outdoor boulderer's favorite grandparents, Grandma and Grandpa Peabody, are 45 and 50 feet tall, respectively. The famous but less popular Luminance block hosts famous free soloist and sports documentary star Alex Honnold's immaculate V10 slab, Too Big to Flail, at an astonishing 55 feet tall. When a boulder gets any bigger than that, you better bring a rope, buddy, or a casket. As I mentioned earlier, big 5 to 20 foot tall, freestanding chunks of stone are referred to by nylon-phobic rock climbers as boulders. When a rock breaches this threshold to upwards of 25 to 30 feet, boulderers reverently refer to it as a highball. When a rock surpasses even the most death-inviting imaginations of outdoor boulderers to reach awe-inspiring heights of 30, 40, or 50 feet, their voices shudder with their own mortality as they declare the designation Mega Highball. Bishop is the land of Mega Highballs. To properly prepare for a trip to the Buttermilks means hauling between 5 to 8 bouldering crash pads down probably hundreds of miles of highway, while simultaneously expelling 5 to 8 thoughts of impending injury or death that pervade your every second as you endeavor to compose yourself for the upcoming encounters with these mega highballs. Many of the giantest of buttermilk boulders present their ascenders a convenient halfway point called the drop-off jug. This point of no return is where the boulderer is posed with the choice either to back down or risk life and limb and continue up the intimidating many feet of rock that remain before them. Many boulderers who reach this drop-off jug and choose to drop off will, using the tricks and twists of an Olympic mental gymnast, convince themselves that they did, in fact, send the boulder. If you go to the Buttermilks and you want to take the send, you best prepare yourself to top out the boulders. You best prepare to find yourself atop 40-foot boulders whose downclimb is more difficult and more frightening than the hard way up you just fought so unyieldingly to climb. If you climb the 18 feet of 40-degree overhanging crimps to the lip of the 50-foot huge Evolution Direct, which is labeled as a V10 in my copy of Wills Young's and Mick Ryan's 2010 second edition of the Bishop Bouldering Guidebook.
Now, as I sit here and I edit this video, I decided to double check my previous statement, and it turns out that the second edition of Wills Young and Mick Ryan's Bishop Bouldering Guidebook does not, in fact, have evolution to the lip listed as its own problem. It has evolution at V12 and evolution direct at V11 listed separately, but there is no evolution to the lip at V10. I believe that the evolution to the lip separation comes in Charlie Barrett's version of this guidebook. Do not buy that guidebook. Now, the first edition of James Lucas's Bishop Bouldering Guidebook also does not have evolution to the lip listed as its own climb. Interestingly, though, it does neglect to include evolution direct, opting to instead replace evolution direct with just evolution. Let me see if I can find this. Evolution V11, a hallmark boulder problem and one that ushered in a new era of highballing, not just in Bishop but across the country. Quote, "Evolution to the lip isn't a problem," end quote, said first ascensionist Jason Keel. Start on high crimps off of stacked pads, make a few hard moves on crimps to sustained steep climbing and eventually the lip. From here, climb directly up for a slightly easier but scarier finish, or head left for the original line. It consolidates the V11 and V12 to just say evolution, which I think is interesting and kind of cool, but the best thing is that Jason Keel, the first ascensionist, actually has quoted in here that evolution to the lip isn't a problem, which independently my brother and I also decided was true. If you watch our old evolution video, we mentioned that as well, very briefly, because people kind of don't like the gatekeeping, but the gate's closed. Top it out. Anyway, another reason why that first edition of James Lucas's Bishop Bouldering Guidebook is pretty good. Now, back to the show. Or back to work.
Did you, in fact, send V10? Or did you more accurately climb less than half a boulder? Let me pose a couple rhetorical questions for you. If I do the first move of Evolution Direct, does that mean I sent a V8? If I establish on the start holds of Evolution Direct, does that mean I sent a V5? If I so much as look at Evolution Direct, does that mean I sent a V3? If you did successfully navigate the smooth crimps of Evolution Direct's steep face, and you did drop off the jugs that separate the horizontal from the vertical, feel free to profess that you climbed Evolution to the lip, because you did. However, the decision to list Evolution to the lip as its own boulder problem with its own grade and its own description in the guidebook is just another example of why I think the boulders in Bishop are just too high. These mega big boulders are not for everyone, and most likely, they are not for you. If you do not or cannot overcome the fear of a fatal confrontation with gravity, you will inevitably find yourself standing at the back of the queue at the front of the Ironman Traverse. The Ironman Traverse may be the single most popular boulder problem in the world. The Ironman Traverse is a V4 that provides even the most faint-hearted of climbers with a full 25 feet of climbing without having to leave the safety of the ground. You would be hard-pressed to find a single sunny afternoon during which a veritable lunch line of boulderers are not lined up to feast upon Bishop's lowest of balls. If the most popular boulder in the land of highballs doesn't take a climber more than 6 feet off the ground, I think we can safely say that most boulderers are not interested in getting high. No, not like that. For the viewers watching right now who do not have extensive experience on the tallest of outdoor boulders, let me enlighten you with the straight dope. If you're having consistent paranoid worries of injury or death while visualizing yourself attempting any high-consequence climbing, perhaps you should just stay on the ground. I'm not gatekeeping here, I'm looking out for your safety. To climb these mega highballs is to be at peace, possibly even in a meditative state, a movement trance where your only thoughts are on the next hold position, or maintaining foot tension, or breathing. I can recall only 2 instances of actively thinking about something other than climbing while I was on a large highball. The first, on the probably close to 55-foot mega highball called Rise, located on the south face of the Luminance block. I did not measure this boulder, but it sure feels 55-foot big. After climbing out of the pit and turning into the overhanging section, I found myself perched below the upcoming precarious, smooth patinaed 35 feet of 5'10-ish slab. Looking out to the now visible beauty of Mount Tom and his neighbors, I chose, for a moment, to enjoy the view. This fraction of a second of admiration paints an irrationally large mural in the museum of memory that exists in my mind. The moment was brief before I returned to focus on the smooth slab of patina above. And even when I was thinking exclusively about climbing, my brother Kyle still asked me not to talk to him about it, but rather focus on myself.
Changing up the beta in the no-fall zone?
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
All good, bro. Keep climbing, don't talk to me. Thanks for looking out, Kyle. Thanks for looking out, Kyle.
You're welcome.
The other time I can specifically recall thinking about something other than my own movement while on a huge highball was during my ascent of Evolution Direct. The first time I visited Bishop, I was still relatively new to the sport of outdoor bouldering. I started climbing when I was 18 years old, cut my teeth in the Northwest Collegiate Climbing Competition circuit, and was introduced to the world of outdoor climbing by my good friend Elijah, whom competed alongside me on the Central Washington University competitive indoor climbing team. For many of us new to climbing college kids, Elijah was our climbing guru, though he would often frustratedly tear his scorecard to shreds at the competitions we attended together. When it came to outdoor climbing, his disposition was definitely that of Stuk. He introduced my brother and I to the Pacific Northwest's granite playground of Leavenworth, Washington. He taught us everything about outdoor bouldering, and to us, he was a god. He could climb V6. About a year later, another college buddy named Josh recommended we venture south to a mystical, boulder-rich place called Bishop, California. We had never heard of Bishop, California before, even though I had definitely driven through Bishop more than half a dozen times as a road-tripping, backseat comfortable child. My brother Kyle, my college buds, Casey and AJ, and I all took a trip to Bishop, California during spring break of 2015. Due to some long-forgotten reason, Josh couldn't come. A decade later, Josh still has never been to Bishop, California. Sorry, Josh. There's always next year. On our first trip to Bishop, California, we were children on their first trip to Disneyland. Wonder and awe filled our imaginations. We could not be let down. I vividly remember stopping to admire a tall Buttermilk roadside chassis slab and thinking, this is it. This is the pinnacle of bouldering. And oh, how majestic it was. This chassis slab was our castle-themed facade of a cheap hotel on Harbor Boulevard. Not the reason we came to California, but nonetheless inspiring the wonder of our childish imagination. Further down the turbulent and seemingly endless Buttermilk Road, the tip of the Grandpa Peabody boulder peeked its head from behind an approaching hill. Oh, we thought.
That's big.
Evolution Direct can romantically be considered the first climb you see when you reach the Buttermilks. It's the first boulder. It's the biggest boulder. It's up the center of the steepest face. Upon the first mouth agape, inspiration-stimulating, eyes-ogling hair standing erect upon every follicle consideration of this epic piece of stone, I spoke out loud. One day, I will climb that. Then we untied our 2 Mad Rock Mad Pad crash pads from the roof of Casey's green 2000 Toyota RAV4 and spent the week climbing miscellaneous Buttermilk V2 and Tablelands V4 boulders. We even tried some highballs. If you've ever attempted highballing in Bishop, you're probably thinking to yourself, wait a minute, didn't you say you only brought 2 Mad Rock Mad Pad crash pads? That's not enough crash pads. Well, my astute viewer, you're absolutely right. We did only bring 2 crash pads, and 2 crash pads is not enough. But we were young, and as the saying goes, dumb. Elijah did not like highballs. Elijah still does not like highballs. We knew not the necessary measures to safely attempt these large boulders. We just tossed what pads we had below our feet, and we climbed. Though this unintentional courage-building strategy was effective, it sure was pretty stupid. Oh well. As the years went on, the courage and confidence grew in tandem with the size of the boulders, until my brother Kyle and I audaciously considered ourselves highballers. I've never used the word highballers. I don't know why I wrote that. Evolution Direct was the ultimate goal. After a near decade of working my way up harder and bigger boulders, all the while on and off projecting my mega intention, I finally found myself over the 18-foot tall lip, numb fingers clinging to millimeters of quartz monzonite sharpness, and raising my left foot high to the final foothold, thinking in repeated chorus, "You cannot fall. You cannot fall. You cannot fall. You cannot fall." To this day, I do not believe I was warning myself of the danger of falling from that height, which would at best result in more than one broken bone. Rather, I was conveying to myself in simple rhythmic mantra, "You made it this far, don't mess it up now." The rest of the 50 feet of climbing is a dark blur in my memory, but this less than a second-long moment lives memorialized like the statue of a folk hero that the society of neurons in my head will never let me forget. In this moment, I strugglingly succeeded in avoiding the entire history of my career as a climber and the split futures of possibilities that may or may not come to pass based on the flexion, stability, and strength of my left knee from invading my mind. As I said, most of the time, when one climbs up to dangerous heights, it's recommended that one focuses solely on the movement and nothing else. It is generally considered a better idea to save any existential introspection for the top of a climb. In the spring of 2021, I found myself at the top of Evolution Direct, ugly crying tears of joy for the journey I'd just completed, mixed with tears of empathetic sorrow for my brother's days recent climbing prohibiting finger injury.
You guys are fucking dancing. I'm like, hey, you guys stop partying. Whoa, stop having fun.
Snap, bro? My fucking finger, dude. Alright. Whatever. Hopefully that's not permanent. If you want Kyle's long-form, injury-inspired soul exploration, go check out the Smithbrook series on this YouTube channel. And while you're at it, go watch the full video of my ascent of Evolution Direct. It's good. Today, I sit at my desk and contemplate my own injury. Not this desk, like my desk at home. I'm reading a script right now, but anyway, I write and wonder, will I ever have the courage or perhaps trust in the structural integrity of my legs to attempt any highballs like this again? My left knee was the crux joint of that unforgettable moment during my ascent of Evolution Direct all those years ago. It has been 10 months since the anterior cruciate ligament in my left knee exploded, and 7 months since Dr. David Hanari replaced the ACL in my left knee with that of a dead man's. Medical science suggests that a full recovery of ACL surgery and a return to sport takes 1 year. This timeline is supposed to give me a feeling of hope. Let me tell you, the only thing I feel is pain in my left knee. pain, and the distinct feeling of a lack of the hope that medical professionals and well-wishers so eagerly attempt to comfort me with. Next time you see me, do not ask me how my knee is doing. If you ask me about my knee, you are reminding me of the single worst injury of my life, an event which led directly and indirectly to the most painful emotional damage I've ever self-inflicted. The avalanche of life-altering decisions that began with the rolling pebble of purchasing my first pair of basketball shoes at age 28 led me inadvertently and inevitably to a serious injury that preceded a state of mind of questioning everything about the trajectory of my life, resulting in a series of mental breakdowns and culminating in my breaking up with my girlfriend of 7 years. 1 year ago today, I lived happily in a beautiful third-story apartment with my girlfriend and her cat. I played basketball at least twice a week. I worked a head coaching job at a climbing gym, and I was climbing harder than ever before. I was in love with a girl, in love with myself, and in love with life. Today, I sleep alone on a mattress on the floor at my parents' house, unable to climb or nearly do any activity that isn't eternally pedaling a stationary bike, and wondering why I did not listen to myself when I had the chance. I proposed earlier in this section of this video to listen to yourself when your mind or body suggests that maybe you don't put your life at risk by free climbing up 50 feet of sheer stone with not but 4 inches of foam beneath your feet to save you, lest gravity bring you back at 9.8 meters per second to where you belong. If only I had listened to my own advice. On Saturday, June 12th, 2024, I was awake at 6 a.m. in order to spend my day in what competitive climbers call isolation. This was the weekend of the Divisionals Championship for the youth climbing team to which I was the head coach, and I willingly locked myself in a small indoor climbing bay at Vertical World's Linwood location with 260 excited children for 12 hours straight. It was a long day. I drove home exhausted, slept for almost 8 hours, and repeated the process again on Sunday morning, June 13th, 2024. Divisionals is a 2-day event, which means 2 days of isolation. The second day of Divisionals is about half as long, since half of the competitors are eliminated from the competition on the first day. That morning, isolation was cold. I remember in vivid 3-dimensional recollection a moment that I will be hard-pressed to forget. I was sitting with my back to the climbing wall, and I had to stand to go check on a kid. When I stood, my knees hurt, as the knees of an elderly man might be expected to hurt on a chill winter's morn. I let out an impulsive groan of that elderly man. A child next to me commented with a genuine lack of intention to insult, "You sound like an old man." "Kid, I feel like an old man," I retorted. I did not know, however, that I was an old man. Hours later, at 4:30 p.m., I was driving home, mentally and physically exhausted from 2 long days of standing on climbing mats and keeping children from killing themselves and each other. My plan was to drive directly from the youth climbing competition to the regularly scheduled 4 p.m. Sunday evening basketball game I had organized with my friends throughout the summer. I was tired. I could feel the drain of my mental and physical ability after working a long weekend. I spoke to myself, out loud, in my car, alone. I should go home and sleep. If I go play basketball, I'm going to hurt myself. Then my mind spoke back to me. You worked all weekend. You earned this recreation. To sleep or to ball, to me, was not much of a choice at all. By the time I arrived at Bellevue's Crossroads outdoor basketball court, my friends were already mid-game in a half-court pickup 4-on-4. My stepping onto the floor meant a full court game could begin. The excitement we all shared pushed the idea of properly warming up from my mind. I always warm up to rock climb, but I started playing basketball when I was 28 years old. Warming up was not yet integral to my process of play. After the first game, I was frustrated with my team for not giving the effort I felt necessary for us to win. In a quote of timeless wisdom, my good friend Steven said to me, "Chill out, buddy. This is a warm-up game." "There's no such thing as a warm-up game," I replied in adrenaline mixed with exhaustion-fueled toxic competitiveness. "I play to win." 5 minutes later, my friend Cameron passed the rock as I ran for a fast break. The pass was short, so I turned to bend and pick up the ball when I heard and felt a snapping in my knee, tumbled the rest of the way down the court, and yelled in agony. I'm sure the rest of the players were worried about my health, possibly fearing the worst, but I knew, I could tell, it was over. During the following weeks, I held a fool's hope that the injury I'd incurred was not as bad as I knew it was. I lay in agony on the couch for 7 straight days and played through the entirety of the video game Disco Elysium. My girlfriend, Emma, took care of me with the attention of a hospice worker, and I will be forever grateful. I dreaded the 24 hours of travel I would have to endure on my way to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to attend my friend Peter's wedding. The flight was as bad as I had predicted, and the entirety of the trip was spent hobbling through Rio on crutches. I took the opportunity to pay $500 cash for an MRI at a Brazilian hospital so a bilingual orthopedic knee specialist could tell me that my ACL had been ruptured. I have the imagery right here, as you can see. There's the inside of my knee. See that? Inside of my knee. See, there's the inside of my knee. I don't know what this means. But it's not good. It's not good. When I got that news, I sat in highly anticipated, denial-stricken disbelief until my friend Casey gave me a quiet hug and I broke down. I spent the next few months waiting for my inevitable surgery and questioning everything about my life. Will I play basketball again? Will I run again? Will I climb again? Will I ever have the courage to take a bouldering fall again? Why am I so competitive? Do I like basketball? Do I like myself? Do I like my life? If I never climb again, what do I do? What do I have? Who am I? My body was broken, and very shortly after, my mind followed. I relived imaginary every second of that fateful day and counted all the mistakes I made, from not staying warm in isolation, to not going home to sleep, to not warming up, to taking a pickup basketball game with my friends too seriously. In retrospect, I believe I began to conflate these mistakes with other choices I've made in my life. The choice to play basketball at all, the choice to work at a climbing gym, the choice to have a long-term girlfriend, the choice to climb instead of making movies. Without climbing, I would probably be waiting tables in Los Angeles right now in hopes of receiving a callback from my most recent audition to be the back of a head in an Audi commercial. Maybe I'd even land a bit part in a feature film starring Casey Affleck. Maybe I wasn't meant for any of this. Maybe all the choices I've made were all mistakes. This conflation of ideas served as a justification for me to tear my life apart from the inside, literally. I confess this to you, viewer, maybe so that you might learn from my experience, or maybe simply for the health of my own mental. Although my knee feels better every day, the healing process is long and arduous and boring. I continue to struggle with my own confidence in nearly everything I do. If I were to impart a single piece of advice to you, viewer, it would be one given to me by my friend DJ, who works alongside me as a climbing coach. when I spoke with her of the distrust of my own body and how I could never approach climbing or bouldering or highballing in the same way again, she reminded me that my body is trustworthy. My body tried to tell me to take it easy and take a nap. It was my mind that tricked me, my competitive nature that blinded my good sense and led me to the outcome every athlete fears most. Viewer, always listen to your body. Just so you know, the irony of this advice being partly my own to many climbers over the years whom I've coached is not lost on me. It's haunting. 1 year ago, I had big dreams of climbing big boulders in California. I used to live every year training in anticipation for the next time I would climb in the Buttermilks. Today, I wonder if I'll ever have the courage to climb high again. But would it be so bad to spend my time climbing in Leavenworth or Joe's Valley on boulders that are consensusly proven perfectly sized 10 to 20 feet tall? Perhaps Bishop, California might not be the best place to boulder for me anymore. Number 8, Burger Barn. Over the last decade, I have had the fortune and misfortune of patronizing many of Bishop, California's 110 local businesses. I have delighted in hot bean juice from 5 separate coffee shops. I have purchased camping supplies at 4 unique sporting goods stores. I have stocked up on groceries from 3 different finish lines of the agricultural supply chain. I have been served enough beer to turn the following climbing day into a rest day more than once at 2 distinct venues. I have tasted some of the best grain alcohol in my life at Bishop's 1 distillery. I have spent the night at none of Bishop's 20 hotels, though I have taken a few well-deserved $5 hot showers at the local hostel. I have eaten 1 or more meals at a number of restaurants, taco trucks, diners, fast food joints, bakeries, cafes, pubs, bars, pizzerias, and delis that I will not attempt to count. For those of you with trips to Bishop, California imminent, the following are my food recommendations. Good Earth Yogurt. This frozen yogurt / pie / wine bar is a relatively new staple to the Bishop, California food critics' regular haunt. Although the calories you will ingest at this sweet spot are likely lacking in nutritional value, they sure make up for their health unconsciousness in taste deliciousness. I cannot recommend enough the palatable pairing of one of their bartender-nominated red wines with their flavorsome charcuterie board. Nothing says dirtbag climber like a glass of vino and assorted cheese. Schatz Bakery. If you like waiting in line, boy do I know the place for you. Schatz Bakery is world famous, and its coursing current of clientele that ceaselessly circles Schatz' tiny parking lot would serve to evidence that superlative. Any boulderer who inspires to consider themselves cultured would do well to purchase a loaf of Schatz sheep herder bread and shove it down their gullets while attempting the rite of passage sheep herder boulder problem in the Buttermilk's main area. I do say Schatz bread is good. Their sandwiches are good. Pretty much everything I've had at Schatz Bakery throughout the years has been either good or better than good. But they still owe me a pickle. Rusty's Saloon. The go-to bar in town for most traveling climbers is Mountain Rambler Brewery. The go-to bar for locals is Rusty's Saloon. Rusty's has pool. Rusty's has shuffleboard. Rusty's has the trophological heads of dead things hanging high upon their walls. Rusty's has hard alcohol. On St. Patrick's Day in 2019, Rusty's had free, all-you-can-eat corned beef and cabbage. Need I say more? On a climbing trip, I tend to enjoy most of my meals either from a can or heated over a campfire. My trips into the town for the purposes of being served a hot meal are seldom. My favorite store in Bishop, California is Vaughn's, not just because it has everything I could ever want, food or otherwise, And certainly not because its 90% empty all the time parking lot is such a magnificent monument to corporate capitalist philosophy and the human race's complete disregard of Mother Earth and any semblance of aesthetic sensibilities. Vaughn's is my favorite store because I feel no guilt whatsoever when I take what my friends and I so lovingly call a Vaughn's shower in their bathroom sink, or when I hang out in their vast parking lot, or throw my days of accumulated detritus into their trash cans. Vaughn's is a mega corporation, and I owe them no more respect than I owe a plastic spoon. And that makes me thankful. For every restaurant I can endorse, there is a full Google search result page's worth of eateries that are doomed to disappoint, give or take 1 million of Bishop, California's yearly visitors. Adjacent these mediocre dining halls are the restaurants that I, the hard way, learned should be avoided at all costs. Do not go to Jack's Restaurant and Bakery. The first time I went to Jack's was also the last time I will ever go to Jack's. Jack's American diner-style food is mediocre at best. The waitress did not come to refill my coffee cup. Possibly because I did not drink from my coffee cup because there was a disgusting fire engine red lipstick stain upon the rim. Post-meal, I went to find the restroom while all my friends went to pay their bills. I waited in a small hallway in the back of the diner for the single-person restroom to become vacant, a little bit annoyed, a little bit still hungry, and a lot bit uncaffeinated. A cook exited the restroom and returned to his duties in the kitchen. I subsequently entered the restroom, urinated, and washed my hands. Although there was signage to alert Jax's employees that washing their hands was required before returning to work, the soap dispenser in this single-person restroom was as empty as my bladder. How many employees had used this soapless toilet room? I shuddered in disgust as I recalled the all-too-recent red stain. Upon my returning to the front with intent to pay my own bill, I was relayed the information that the cash register was, for some reason, not accepting cards. I was then forced to run across the street to an ATM, paying a bank money for them to give me my money so that I could return with cash to pay my bill. I paid exclusively in the $20 bills the ATM spit out, and Jax did not have change. As Bishop's population of travelers increases alongside the expanding popularity of outdoor bouldering, I hope to see more of these inferior restaurants go the way of the infamous Burger Barn. For those viewers with ancient familiarity of Bishop culinary culture, you likely remember Burger Barn. Perhaps the mention of this greasy spoon brings back fond memories of milkshakes and meat patties. To me, the memories are of exhaust and poison. Unfortunately, the first time I went to Burger Barn was not the last time I went to Burger Barn. The first time I went to Burger Barn, I knew I was in for a bad time as I coughed on exhaust, waiting in line to order at the small sliding window. You see, viewer, the use your legs to walk up and order customers shared a queue with the drive-through customers. Cars and humans sharing the same undercover space, which is, as could be expected, filled with the fumes of combusted gasoline. I thought, this is weird. Is this normal? Perhaps there are not usually cars in the line. Perhaps I was not supposed to walk up to order. Then I saw it, the hastily handwritten sign beside the sliding window that encouraged customers to not complain about the cars, asserting that all customers in this line are valid. Burger Barn, that's just wrong. Nobody in any queue that isn't at an emissions testing station should be forced to huff exhaust. How about a sign that says, please turn off your engines, or a second window on the other side of the building for walk-up customers? Or how about the queue isn't undercover? It's the desert, it's not like it rains much. Burger Barn messed up my milkshake. Burger Barn messed up my girlfriend's milkshake. Burger Barn messed up my girlfriend's burger. We ordered garlic fries for an additional $2, and we received fries topped with garlic salt. Burger Barn, those are not garlic fries, and definitely not worth an additional $2. The second time I went to Burger Barn, I begged my friends to go anywhere else. But to their credit, it did look like a cute place, so I caved. There were no cars in line this time, but you can be sure they messed up my milkshake order again. The food tasted fine, good even, and we headed back to our Buttermilk campsite and shared stories around the fire. Then, late in the night, I woke to the sound of what I knew must be the angry moaning of a spectral spirit, restless, doomed to walk the mortal plane for eternity. I can't tell you for how long I was frightened of that vengeful wraith, but I can tell you that eventually I recognized the sound of my brother in agonizing, self-soiling stomach pain. Fortunately, as of 2024, Burger Barn has officially closed for good. I admit I feel a little odd speaking ill of the dead, but I am relieved that nobody will ever be able to convince me to visit Burger Barn again. Bishop-bound travelers who have missed the presumably delightful fortune of watching this section of this video will be tasked with being their own gastronomical guinea pig. For you, viewer, in the spirit of not spoiling everything about the town of Bishop, I'll quit while I'm ahead. I will refrain from detailing every single restaurant in Bishop, California at which I've eaten. I will not describe Carl's Jr.'s delicious, open-late, calorie-dense menu. I will not reminisce on the now-closed Little Caesars' countless extra-large pizzas my friends and I devoured at our camp. I won't complain that after the pandemic in 2020, Bishop's Ranger Station removed their spigot of infinite free water. I won't mention the fine produce at the legendary Cock Stop, or the 24-hour bottomless coffee at Denny's. If I did, this video would never end. Number 9, the wind. Maniacal, howling laughter hoots and hollers from the sleeping bag adjacent my own. Squeezed together in this tiny two-person tent, 3 of us lay sleepless as the screaming wind stampedes down the slopes of Mount Tom and plummets into our poor little camp. The thin polyester walls that separate us from the freezing desert literally smack us repeatedly as the spirit of the mountain grips our tent like a pair of drumsticks and beats our faces like a drum. Hours go by. Having had enough of this, I crawl from my tent, still wrapped in my sleeping bag, flip open a crash pad, and flop atop my new dirty bed. The wind is as loud as ever, but having escaped my polyester cage, there is nothing surrounding me with which the mountain can beat my face. The wind simply blows over me, laying there beneath my new canopy of stars. I wake from dreams of pinches and patina to a light snowfall upon my face. This was the experience of my second night ever camping in the Buttermilks, and boy did I learn a lot. You might be asking, why were you and 2 other people squeezed in a 2-person tent? Did you not plan ahead and prepare as the first tenet of the leave no trace philosophy stipulates? No, viewer, I did not plan ahead and prepare, but not because I didn't bring my own tent. My good friend AJ and I had brought our own 2-person tent to share, which we had set up the day before. We slept in that tent the previous windless night. But returning to our camp from a tiring afternoon of climbing 3 and 4 vermin-allotted rocks, AJ and I were shocked to see our tent was no longer assembled where we left it. To our fledgling surprise, the mountain's gales had custodianly picked it up and tossed it in the bin that was the nearby creek, along with every article of clothing that wasn't currently on our backs. You see, viewer, though we were prepared with the proper quantity of shirts and shelters, we had novicely neglected to stake down our tent. For hours, we fished our belongings from the icy creek. The evening was spent at the Sierra Suds laundromat as we reclaimed our clothes. Our tent, however, was lost for good, a casualty of the mountain's apathetic wrath. This was the first of our tents to be swept into the river, but it would not be the last. No matter how vehemently we warn Buttermilk virgins of the blowing threat, our newcomer friends always underestimate the power of the wind and inevitably reap the consequences of their nonchalance. The wind's pervasive whip reaches far beyond camp, potentially punishing any ill-prepared boulderer. From casual climber to professional rock jock, this whip does not discriminate. There is a feature film's worth of footage on the internet of crash pads being displaced from beneath unsuspecting boulderers, half of which was filmed by me or my brother. If the wind shifts your pads and you fall, the millimeters thin layer of Vibram rubber that separates the rock from your naked heel will not serve to protect you. That's gonna hurt. I have bouldered in many different places, not in every country nor on every continent, though I've certainly run the gamut of environments, and I have to say, nowhere has the wind been such an obstacle to my rock climbing pursuits as in Bishop, California. Each day as the evening sun sets behind the westerly Mount Tom, the high temperatures caused by its radiating rays of light transition to the low temperatures of the desert night, creating a change in air pressure that blasts cold air at near hurricane speeds from the mountain slopes down to the valley below. If you had a nice, warm, sunny day at the boulders, prepare yourself for a cold, harsh, and loud night of wishing you could fall asleep. Whether destroying your tent, displacing your pads, or simply whipping sand into your delicate eyes, you can be sure the wind is gonna get ya. So do as I and my friends do. Thank the great mountain every still night. Respect the environment, respect the people, respect the rocks, and pray that your sins stay secret from the mountain's ceaseless gaze, lest it punish you with fast air. Number 10, Buttermilk Road. 3.4 miles of bumpy, uncomfortable, and loud washboarded road separate Highway 168 from California's playground of monolithic earth. These 3.4 miles of compact dirt are surrounded on all sides by the natural majesty of the Buttermilk country. After a light rainfall, the short trip down Buttermilk Road can be a smooth ride. However, after a dry weekend of heavy outdoor boulder-generated traffic, the road becomes so unbearable that even in the midst of nature's grandeur, a practicing monk would flip out. Buttermilk Road is wide, flat, and incredibly irksome to drive upon, and boulderers can be excitable, ill-behaved, and impatient. This combination begs visiting boulderers to bomb down this dirt road at near highway speeds. This abuse results in the aforementioned washboard effect that can be so annoying and especially aggravating after a bad day of rock climbing. The worse the washboarding, the more you might be inclined to speed up the road, creating even worse washboards. Speeding down Buttermilk Road also kicks up storms of sand behind the wheels of every car. Did I mention how much I hate sand? If you see a human or a white-tailed deer or so much as a lizard on the side of the Buttermilk Road, take care to go slow, lest you suffocate them with the excreting sands behind your speeding vehicle. The Buttermilk Road lay at the foot of Mount Tom and its surrounding Sierra Nevada neighborhood. During the peak bouldering months of early spring, these mountains are topped white after a snowy winter. As the sun begins to spend more time high in the sky, blasting its radiation upon these desert summits, the snow melts, and the water runs heavy down the slopes of the mountains, gravitationally enticed to spend its time in the ruts of the Buttermilk Road. The change in these ruts is a function of time, but outdoor boulderers are still just as excitable, ill-behaved, and impatient. As the ruts become soaked and soft and obscured by still water, the tires of many cars carve into the road and make impassable dents in the dirt. Unlucky or unaware drivers may find themselves cracking an axle or popping a tire or simply getting stuck. This process is repeated year after year, causing Buttermilk Road to be in a constant state of maintenance. Hey Bishop, why can't you just put down some asphalt? Put a parking lot in while you're at it. Add another one of those fancy hotels with a swimming pool. We know how much you love hotels. That was a joke. Don't pave it. Don't do that. Speaking of parking, the parking at the Buttermilks is fantastic. That is, unless it's a Saturday, or a Sunday, or a holiday. or the sun is out, or it's any day in March. Parking spots are not unlimited, but if there's no parking, what do you think an excitable, ill-behaved, and impatient boulderer is going to do? That's right, he'll make his own. Just pull his car right up onto the crust. It's not like he's gonna get a parking ticket. It's up to all of us as a community to police these bad actors. But who wants to go around telling people off? It takes a certain type of person, and those persons are cops. I don't know about you, but one of the main reasons I prefer rock climbing to snow sports or water sports is that I hate cops. Sure, lifeguards and ski patrol are there to help, but so was that police officer who killed that guy. I won't even say which guy it was because it doesn't matter. There are plenty of options to choose from. I'm getting a little off topic here. All I'm trying to say is that I don't like being told what to do, or what's safe, or whether or not I'm allowed to do extreme sports how I want to do them. So let's keep cops out of our sport, and let's all behave ourselves and hold each other accountable, and park in designated areas, and brush our ticks, and leave no trace, and respect the stone, and drive slow. One of the fondest memories I have on Buttermilk Road was when my friends and I Oregon Trailed it. The moment the tires of my silver 2006 Nissan Pathfinder hit the washboards, I took my foot off the gas and began to speak in an 1800s country accent. My car was my wagon, the engine my horse, and we idled down the country road at 1 horsepower, role-playing as all manners of Red Dead Redemptionites for a full 2 hours before we reached our camp. To me, these moments are what climbing trips are all about. Yes, the send is nice, but the memories of the moments in between, spent with your bestest buds, having fun in your own way, are what makes us all who we are. Whether or not I succeeded in gripping a specific sharp edge of rock for a specific amount of time in a specific sequence of moves does not affect my life in the slightest. But the growth we experience together as we haul gear, share food, cheer, spot, joke, appreciate, admire, encourage, reassure, laugh, cry, scream, forgive, and support one another through these precipitous feats of self-appointed and arduous arbitrarity are what makes us, us. Bishop might not be the best place to boulder, but it might be the best place to be friends.
She'd take the world off my shoulders if it was ever hard to move. She'd turn the rain to a rainbow when I was living in the blue. Why then, if she's so perfect, do I still wish that it was you? Perfect don't mean that it's working. So what can I do?
Julie?
When you're out outside my way? 'Cause sometimes I look in her eyes and that's where I find my glimpse of.
So what are we doing today, you guys? Where are we gonna go? Sad boulders? Happy boulders? Sads? Alright.
Yeah, son! Ah!
Holy shit. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah!
Here, take a picture of me tindering.
You guys match.
Lemon and lime.
Partners in crime.
smoke me a dime, about to rhyme, it's time. Going to the limelight, they call me Ahota.
Maybe you'll start slipping slow, find me again.
Hey, we're on camera.
Who I hate most about this whole situation is Peter. He's just a dirtbag piece of shit. Hey Peter, how are you? My friends arrived. My good friend that you like a lot. Oh, that looks so good, dude.
Peace. God bless. God bless.
Oh, dude, we're the best.
This is a nice communion that we're having.
Oh, shit. You want me to take a sip?
Take a sip and hand it back here. Are you rolling on that? Okay, so here's an update, right? We just got back from the sad boulders.
There's not even a point in you talking because I guarantee I can only hear Biggie.
All right, well, it looks great. And we're playing mechanic. We're mechanics. Yeehaw!
I'll get back and somebody will ask me like, so what did you climb? I don't know. I just followed everybody else. For that one, Southwest Red.
Maybe a C-section, but we got our hopes up, and he's coming out.
How's your flapper, AJ?
Shitty.
Can you hold it up to the...
Hold on, let it bleed for a bit so it looks cooler.
So it looks cool. Oh, dude.
Fucking, where's the sanitation? Goddamn. Oh, sometimes you just gotta fucking clean your wounds! Oh my god! Oh, that was hot.
Jumping off of this leg, doing a full kick, and then landing back on that.
I can do it. I can do it.
Nice.
That's
That was pretty good.
Holy shit. Oh my god.
Good form.
Get out of bed. Time to get some head. See clock, we on the clock, and I'm getting big, bigger than anyone in this picture. All those big behind me, they like some movie pictures. Filming this behind your screen. The green love man, he is mean.
Yeah.
He's smoking green.
Smoking that green love coming in hot, helping out C-Clock. Yeah, I got that rhyme on top of this shit, and I'm gonna get real close to the camera. Don't back up or you might go sprain that ankle, yo.
Marker, take 4. This climbing excursion has been brought to you by French-style Del Monte green beans.
Ah! Let's go to the shade.
Oh my god. Deep.
Did the same thing.
Conrad, show me the cut. 3 for 3. Oh, baby.
Here, in the Owens Valley, Eastern Sierra, there lies an abundance of artifacts, remnants of a peoples long forgotten. Here, we see these panties. They recall a time of great fortune, where the women frolicked and the men prospered. Let me see if I can wake it up. Oh! Back up! Back up! Be wary. You would not want to get the smell on your hands. Oh! Wild cats and bears and large snakes can smell the panties for miles around. We best not linger. Quickly now. Come on. It is dangerous to stay. Come. Come on. Come.
I'll do it. I'll do it, dude. I got it. It's too late. I'm doing it.
me more emotion. Come on.
The echo. End of day 1, and what a good day it was. End of day 7. Got shut down on some hard problems today.
Yeah.
11? Is it day 11?
Hey, when you show me, will you by my name say Jordan, put a caption at the bottom? Professional beta sprayer.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
End of day 13.
13, is it?
It's day 13. Almost 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We
Has it not been
are
2 weeks?
saying goodbye to our homies today. They're heading back to the PNW. It was fun to have them here.
Yeah, I'm sad though.
End of day 16!
Day 1. Oh, God.
And Tucker's here, day 1.
Yeah, I'm here. What up?
He's here, day 1.
End of day. What day is it? 22? 22. 22. Decided we do some scrambles.
I don't know what day it is. What day is it? 31? End of day 31? End of day, I don't know what, but it'll say it right here. I'll look it up later. Makes nose is sunburned. End of day 37. Pretty sure I did that math right. Pretty sure I figured it out. 37. End of day 41. We just were at the pollen grains, which are over that hill there. Some big boulders over there. End of day 48. Well, it's actually 10:19 a.m. But
End of the day for us.
End of the day for us. We're leaving.
It's 80 degrees already by 10 a.m.
End of day 1. We did it. End of day 5.
But it looks and tastes like cat food.
End of day 7. We're gonna go to Rusty's Saloon now and drink and play pool and get dinner. Woo. End of day 10.
It was a long, hard day.
We're really tired. End of day 11. It was a rest day. We're gonna keep this short. We did nothing. End of day 12. We accidentally fucked it up, but here we go. We popped the beers. Cheers. We did it.
We did evolution to the lip.
We've been looking at that since year 1. I mean,
it's to the lip.
It's to the lip. It's not even a real climb. It's like half a climb. We did half a climb. Woo! Yeah.
Half a climb.
Hooray. Cheers to that. End of day 13. It's cold. So cold tonight. End of day, what did you say it was?
15.
15.
You guys want to see some crazy stuff?
Check this out. Oh my god. End of day oh, my light's on. End of day 20. We went to the Ironman Traverse first thing because there was nobody there because of the coronavirus. Nobody anywhere. And we were like, there's nobody on the Ironman Traverse. It's the first time ever. We got to take the opportunity to film it. So we went over there, and immediately after we got there, 8 people showed up.
Literally.
With a baby and a bunch
8
of...
people showed up, and then another family of
woman
people.
with a baby and another bunch of people. It's like, where are these people coming from? There's nobody here. It was crazy. So we left.
Literally nobody in the Buttermilk except those 8 people, and they all were at the Ironman Traverse with us. It was terrible.
End of day 27, and also the end of the trip. We're calling it. We're going home.
I hurt my ankle pretty bad. But also, they shut off the water and the bathrooms. They closed the happy and sad boulders. They closed the gorge. They probably will close the Buttermilks today or tomorrow. Up to a $5,000 fine, they said, for climbing. I don't know how you can fine somebody for climbing, but I guess you're disregarding the stay-at-home rules. So, you know, all signs point to go home.
The world is in a state of emergency, and we will comply with the needs of the world. All right, well, I would say until tomorrow, but there is no tomorrow. Hopefully that's not true. But thanks for watching us and staying in touch and all that good stuff.
I'm going to be driving on this straight road forever, it looks like. So, see you guys in the next life.
Yeah, the next trip. Peace.
promised you I'd do a shoey if I sent evolution, so here we go. Yeah, buddy. What are you talking about? 17. Yep, pump. And then switch the left foot down to a toe.
Keep going.
And then bump the left foot again. It's like 3 little foot moves. That's helpful. Yeah, that's good. There we go. We got Casey here spotting me. Thanks. It's very nice.
It looks just like you, Casey.
It does look just like you. The hat and the mustache. Yep.
Yeah.
I get to my tent. It's not there. I'm like, oh fuck. Where is it? All my clothes, everything, in the river. My hair gets caught in a tree. I'm stuck there for like 5 minutes. Eventually, I just have to like rip it out. And here we are.
Wow, aren't you glad you wished for wind last night?
I knew you guys
Blue,
were
blue, blue, blue.
I have to share a tent with you for the remainder of the trip because my tent's destroyed.
If my tent is still alive.
Are you saying if our tent gets destroyed, we get to sleep with someone else? Kyle, my tent is in the river too.
My tent's totally in the river.
My tent is so
my
deep in the
tent's
river.
destroyed. I'm gonna have to sleep with Jake.
Me too.
We can dogpile.
Doggy pile.
No, doggy pile, not doggy style. Holy shit.
Emma, is this where you've been sleeping? Seems not very comfortable to me. Oh man. Now the worst has happened, my boot's wet. Gosh darn it.
Sorry for you, Kyle. It's gotta be so
The worst has happened.
difficult.
Why does this always happen to me? Why does this always happen to me?
I'm fucking wet as shit.
Now Casey's wet too. Stupid.
I feel so bad. This is all my fault. They're wet now and sad.
You taunted the mountain. What did she say last night?
Oh, the mountain probably doesn't have any superpowers.
I've never experienced wind out here. That sounds fun.
I don't believe in magical mountains. No.
And what'd she say this morning?
Oh, this wind is so great. I love it.
More wind.
Is this the worst you could do, mountain? Ha ha ha.
I did not say that. I said I'm having a fun time because I'm always trying to have a fun time. And
How's it feeling right now?
I had too much fun.
This video took me so long to write. I've begun climbing again for the first time since my injury nearly a year ago. I cannot boulder due to the potentially serious consequence of taking a fall on my knee. I can only top rope. It's been fun and it's been frustrating to the point of tears. My leg is weak and top rope climbing sucks, but it's climbing. I even played a little basketball just by myself in the new springtime sun. I've been watching videos of Natalia Grossman recovering from her climbing-caused ACL tear. She has an auto belay set up above her spray wall at the USAC Training Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. I sure don't have that luxury, but at least I can
top rope.
I struggle to ask anyone for a belay due to some deep-down psychological resistance to ask for help, but maybe I'll get better at that. In an attempt to restoke the fire of psych, I've been watching videos of climbers crushing, and I've successfully been avoiding any suicidal tendencies. I revisited some old videos of myself and my friends climbing in the Buttermilks. My brother recently climbed his first V12, a grade which I have yet to reach, and he made a great video about his experience that I could not bear to watch all those months ago when I was held up in a knee brace and crutches. In the moment, I mustered all my will to remove my ego from the equation and be nothing but proud of his accomplishment, but I could not watch the video. Recently, I went back to watch his well-edited documentation of the ascent. It was, of course, an excellently fun and engaging video. Great job, Kyle. Great job, Kyle.
Thank you.
I've been watching videos of other climbers as well, especially in Bishop. Nina Williams just established a huge boulder she called Every Vocal Animal in an outlying Buttermilks area. Kyle and I looked at this boulder a few years ago, but never did any work on it. Seeing Nina put it up as she put it down is the first time I've felt inspired in a long time. Perhaps There is hope for me still one day to surpass the level I reached last year pre-injury when I was climbing stronger than I ever had before. They say an athlete is never the same after a serious injury like this, but maybe that means I could be better. I can train my fingers strong as I rehabilitate my weak knee back to the point of serviceability, and I can train my mind to prepare for more, bigger, and better climbs out there, and especially in Bishop, that I may one day conquer. Bishop may not be the best place to boulder, but I'll be damned if it's not my favorite place to boulder in the world, and I will be back. Well, that about does it. That sure was cathartic. I think we all learned something today. Until next time, I was born weak, but I will not die crying. Bouldering forever, badwaterproductions.com. There you go. Cut.
Cutting.
Good job.